Okay, everybody, we are going to go ahead and get started. I will call to order the July 16th meeting of the Downtown Design Review Board. We will go ahead and introduce ourselves in our normal way. And for the new folks, we're just going to say your name, what you're representing as far as whether it's downtown or neighborhoods or whatever, and then move along, and then we'll try to go at a slow pace today so that you can kind of feel the rhythm of things. So, Cameron, can you kick us off, please?
All right, Cameron Boland, AIA representative.
Did I do something wrong? Not on purpose.
This is Cameron, user error. Cameron Boland, AIA representative.
Hi, Lisa Sear Burnett. I don't know, downtown, I'm new. Business development representative. Hello.
I'm Perry Childress, East Tennessee Community Design Center.
Laura Wen, Downtown Resident Representative.
Sarah Martin, Urban Design Representative.
Jared Worsham, Downtown Resident Representative.
Suzanne Taravella, Neighborhood Representative.
Lindsay Lanoy, Knoxville, Knox County Planning. Melinda Woolert, Knoxville, Knox County Planning.
Dallas DeArmond, Knoxville, Knox County Planning.
Megan Silbaugh, City of Knoxville Plans Review and Inspections.
Christina McGraw-Stillery, City Law Department.
Thank you, everybody. Welcome to our new folks, Lisa and Sarah. Next up is the approval of the minutes. They should be included in your packet. And if anybody has any comments about the minutes, please let us know. Otherwise, we'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. And next up, we have Lindsay's staff report, or maybe Melinda's. Is it Lindsay's?
We do not have a staff report this month.
We have no staff report. Okay, thank you. Then we will jump into our infill housing design review certificates of appropriateness. The first one is at 3112 Rector Street, which is case 6A25IH. And for the new folks, there'll be drawings on the screen and then also in your packet.
Okay. All right, so this application is for a new two-story duplex fronting Rector Street. The building features two adjacent 17 feet wide by 50 feet deep units with a 612 pitch side gable roof, an exterior of lap siding with cedar texture accent boards at the top of each story, and a block foundation clad in stucco. The applicant intends to use the middle housing standards, and review now occurs separately during permitting. The Design Review Board review focuses on how the project meets the infill housing design guidelines. However, some elements of middle housing review may trigger site plan and building elevation revisions, which would require additional review by the board. The house is proposed to be set 21.9 feet from the front property line. The average of the block face is 15.8 feet, with the adjacent houses at 14 and 9 feet. The house should be moved to be aligned with the front setback pattern of the block to meet infill guidelines and middle housing standards. Parking is a concrete pad accessed via the alley, which meets the design guidelines. The guidelines for multi-unit housing recommend that, quote, new multi-family buildings be designed in scale and context with the early architectural features of the neighborhood. The block to receive new construction is characterized by craftsman bungalows, modified Queen Anne cottages, and infill construction. All houses on the block are one story. The duplex is generally proportionate to the dimensions of the lot and other houses on the block, but it does not incorporate any details which align with the architectural context. The 35 and 4-inch wide by 50 feet deep duplex is compatible in width with the historic houses on the block. However, it is approximately 5 to 10 feet deeper than the other houses on the block. The design attempts to break up the large side elevations with a bay window and trim separating the stories. Additionally, all houses on the block are one story, and the two-story duplex features a 2-foot tall foundation, making it 34.5 feet tall at the roof peak. The board should discuss the height and depth of the duplex. While the proposed 4 feet deep, 5-inch entry stoops supported by square posts are not 8 feet deep per the design guidelines, similarly designed entry stoops have been approved for multi-unit buildings in the infill housing overlay. The 612 roof pitch is the minimum required for this roofline type in middle housing and is the minimum pitch approved by the infill housing design guidelines. The large building may also benefit from additional variations in roofline, particularly on the larger side elevations. The 1/1 double-hung windows and half-light doors are appropriate for the context. While all 4 elevations feature sufficient transparency, some revisions may be necessary to better align the buildings with the context, including the irregular placement of windows on the side elevations. The elevation drawings feature vinyl lap siding with brick veneer and either shakes or board and batten accents, and a stucco-clad CMU foundation, all of which meet guidelines for materials. The final site plan should include a tree in the front and rear yards, and the lot has a few existing trees, which should be retained if possible. The board should discuss the proposed height and depth of the duplex within the neighborhood context, along with any necessary revisions or conditions. Staff is recommending approval of Certificate 6A25IH, subject to the following conditions. Final site plan to meet city engineering standards with major changes to the site plan to return to the board. The front setback to be revised to align with the front setback pattern of the block face. Final site plan to include a native or naturalized shade tree in the front and rear yards and meeting all relevant standards of Article 4.6 and Article 9.3.j with minor revisions to be approved by staff.
I'd just clarify as well that this application was postponed at the June meeting to allow the applicant to participate and also to respond to some feedback that the staff passed along from the previous board review. Those revisions have not been incorporated in this, and so we can discuss those as well.
The applicant did provide an alternate design as well in response to the board feedback. So we didn't review this, but we have some pictures of it for y'all to see if you'd like.
Okay, just to clarify, are we reviewing what's in the packet? Okay.
Yeah, we're reviewing what's in the packet. If y'all believe that the other design is more appropriate, then the case would likely be postponed, and then we would write a staff report based off that different design.
Great. Okay, thank you. Is the applicant present today?
Yes, I am.
Great. Can you give us your name and address, please?
Sure. My name is Autumn Marnell. Our office address is 303 Bob Smith Lane, Knoxville, Tennessee, 37924.
Great, thank you. Do you have anything to add to Melinda's comments?
No, other than just, not at the moment. All right, now I'll wait.
Okay, great, thank you. We'll open it up to board discussion. And I also want to point out, we also want to talk about the foundation. It's been kind of an ongoing issue that drawings are submitted with flat elevations on all 4 sides, and this site has, as a quick look, about 9 feet of elevation change across the site from front to back. So we want to pay particular attention to what the actual look of the side elevations is going to be and whether or not it's compatible with the guidelines. So with that, we'll open it up for discussion. And if you want to go ahead and share the alternate design, just so we know what we're dealing with, that would be helpful.
We'd just say, if they provided these, we would, for full board review, we'd request the elevation drawings of all sides and a site plan, et cetera.
Right. Is this what the new proposed, is this a duplex?
It is a duplex. So the one unit is on the front and the other unit is in the rear, which does, I believe I did ask Melinda, and she said that that is something, she doesn't see anything in the guidelines that would go against that.
Okay. Do you have a preference for which design you would prefer to build?
We don't necessarily have a preference. This other design, we will have drawings for it on Friday. They were supposed to have them to us this past Friday, but they just couldn't get them done in time. The only, we would prefer to do this other build if things like the building height and the roof have to be changed, because it would call for a complete and total redraw of the one that's proposed right now, and we've had it redrawn several times. So it's just cost-wise, I think If we were to have to completely redraw this one again, then we would end up going with the new plan.
Okay. So does it make sense to you for us to review this one as submitted, or would you prefer to wait on your new drawings and submit that one, and we'll review the one that you prefer to build?
No, I mean, you're welcome to review this one. We would love to move forward with this one if it's something that we can do. But Josh really wanted me to get actual requirement of what you guys would require for us to build this one. If, you know, any of the requirements aren't actually met.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll open it up for discussion on this one that's submitted.
I actually, my first comment actually is I think accentuated or by your second option. My first critique is the given the scale and it with middle housing and the spirit of those is to almost look like they call it like stealth density, where you can get 2, 3, 4 units in what looks like a single family home that might just be larger. But the thing with duplexes is that they essentially are row houses, and I think what's beautiful about them is that they read as a modularity and they read as 2 bays. And we've seen this before, and I've never loved the middle solution of how those just kind of smash together with no articulation between them. So to, I think, help the critique is looking at the other option that you showed. It reads obviously as a single unit, and I think that's pretty interesting how it has the other duplex in the rear. It also appeared to be about 5 to 10, maybe like 10 feet less wide. If it says 21 feet, and the other, your current design is 34, I think, or 35. And also because the gables turned not to, the actual end gable faces the street in the second option, it helps break that scale down more. I know that those elevation drawings for the original proposal are always deceiving when you look at the front exterior, because your roof never reads that way. It's just flat in the 2D elevation, but it does speak to how large that building reads from the street. But going back to, we're reviewing only this original submittal. It comes down to, unfortunately, minutia, like the way the gutters are going to be laid out in this project. The only articulation between the 2 duplexes are going to be the gutter down the middle of that cricket between the brick, and then the gutters on the left and right on that front elevation are going to cascade down the front or the top floor down to the second, have to bump out multiple times. So it's going to be pretty ugly. I think trim and gutter work and downspout work whenever it starts to get put together, and I think it's because the original solution of those 2 being slammed together without any articulation between the 2 duplexes.
I would love to hear some backstory about the height of this, because I noticed when I looked at, you mentioned in the staff report that there aren't any nearby houses that are visibly 2-story. There may be some with bedrooms in the attic, but they're 1-story massings elsewhere on the block and the street. What is the history of that discussion? Because that would be kind of the main thing that stood out to me as putting it out of scale with the fabric.
Typically, if there's any precedent for higher structures in the surrounding area, then we try to suggest options that would diminish the overall height visually. And sometimes that means using a hip roof instead of a gable, or adding dormers, or using the landscape in a different way. So there are various things that we discuss. Sometimes it's just way too big for the context, but we try to work with the applicant to find ways to make it look visually appropriate.
Okay, thanks. Because that was my first impression when reviewing this one, is that it just looks too big, and that a 1-story development would be far preferred. Now, I'm not going to throw that wrench into the works if there's already a precedent of approving 2-story. But the second design that we're not officially reviewing today, I think helps that a bit, because it has a slightly more traditional porch on that lower level. That helps. I mean, you get a little bit of relief on there where you have the columns and the railing. And so I think it's, even though it still feels very tall, I think it's less vertical than those two middle elements that just project straight up.
And I think sort of to Cameron's point of how the duplexes side by side that were originally submitted, it's almost like you're adding two structures in a way and how you're visually looking at it. So you're adding two two-story houses to the block rather than just the one. My thought would be similar of that the design that we're not officially reviewing is more cohesive with the neighborhood in the best way that it can be.
To be honest, I was pleasantly surprised to see the second version because so far, since middle housing passed last year, we've yet to see, I think, a really compelling duplex version that's been submitted. And not that the second option is 100% there, but it was interesting in the way that it, similar to what Sarah said about the front porch, and then the scales broken down by having that relief at the front and letting the building actually having an inverse relationship so that the porches aren't tacked on. It's actually built into the building, I think is a good start and a little bit nicer. So we can keep commenting, but I would potentially motion to actually review the second one.
I do also think, given the discussion about the topography, that the second option that's not officially under review right now might be more compatible with the site because it does slope down in the back and the access to the lower level just might work better overall with this site.
Well, there's also a cross slope of 2 feet right to left on the side as well. And the narrower house would cope with that a little better. I seem to remember one of our discussions before on the elevation was instead of the two gables with the cricket over the brick portion, that it became a single gable. I think that's a solution we've proposed on some other tall multifamilies that have gone in, like over in Oakwood Lincoln Park and some other areas, was then it feels more like one house with two front doors, which was actually not I disappeared. All right. Anyway, that was the comment.
I could be misremembering, but I feel like we also potentially discussed with this one putting a front porch across the full front to help sort of make it look more just like a single family home. But I would be on board with what Cameron's said as well, as far as postponing.
Okay. If we don't have any more comments, then we'll entertain a motion.
I would motion to postpone. I'm trying to find the case number. I'm going to say postpone this case in lieu of the alternate proposed design.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're going to postpone this one. Thank you. Okay, next up we have 721 Oglewood Avenue, which is case number B625IH.
Right. So this application was postponed at the June meeting to give the applicant the opportunity to attend. So this is a modification to COA 6E24IH for a new primary structure fronting Oglewood Avenue. Changes to the windows include using single instead of paired windows on the facade and side elevations, removing the paired windows in the gable field and one on the basement level, replacing a large multi-pane fixed window with a slider window, and using 1/1 single hung windows instead of the prairie-style profile seen here. The porch design was revised to have individual instead of paired porch supports and a concrete block foundation instead of brick piers. The cornice returns, rake mold trim, standing seam metal roofing, and gable header from the previous design were removed. A gable roof massing was removed on the right elevation, and a chimney was removed from the left elevation. Aside from this, there were no changes to the overall massing or to the site plan. The house is currently under construction and is being sent back to the board for review after the building inspector identified major deviations from the approved plans. The block to receive new construction is characterized by minimal traditionals and infill construction. The previously approved design incorporated several details to align with the context that have been removed. The 8-foot deep porch meets the design guidelines, but the board should discuss if modifications to the installed porch supports are necessary to be compatible with the context. Overall, the windows as installed meet the design guidelines, but the window and door trim detailed on the original plans should be included to contribute additional detail. Final door specifications should be sent to staff for review. The 8-12 pitch front gable roof clad in asphalt shingles meets the design guidelines, but lacks the added complexity of the original design. The board should discuss if additional complexity is necessary. The original application did not specify siding material, and siding has yet to be installed. The final siding material should be horizontal clapboard-style lap siding with an overlap instead of Dutch lap or flush panel siding. The board should discuss the installed porch supports and the reduction of the roof line's overall complexity. Staff is recommending approval of Certificate 6B25IH, subject to the following conditions: the window and door trim to be included as shown in the plans, final door specifications to be submitted to staff for review, final siding material to be horizontal, clapboard-style lap siding with an overlap as opposed to Dutch lap, flush panel, or board and batten siding, the walkway from the front porch to the street, the native or naturalized shade trees in the front and rear yards, and the parking access via the alley to be installed as indicated on the site plan.
Thank you, Melinda. Is the applicant present?
Yes,
Hi, can you give us your name and address, please?
sure. It's Daniel Fielden, 5816 Whisperwood Road, Knoxville, Tennessee.
Thank you. Can you tell us about why the existing construction doesn't comply with the original reviewed project?
One of the reasons is it's not finished, obviously, but the owner, the only thing he really doesn't want to do is the dormer on the side. Everything else, the porch supports, everything is just per the drawing, the siding, everything is exactly the same, except it's on the porch is at ground level. So, I mean, handrails are not required. I mean, we can put them on there if you want them, but it is a ground level slab porch. And the only thing really he's asking is, I mean, we'll fix the windows that were, put the original windows back in exactly like it's shown per drawing, in the gable, the front porch, the twin supports on the front. And the only thing really would be minus the gable on the right-hand side, other than what has already been eliminated, and preferably no handrails on the porch, but that's not a big deal if needed.
So there's not going to be any crawl space at all?
It's on a slab.
It's on a slab. So why was it submitted with a crawl space?
Well, I don't know.
It's just hard for us to approve something that's not going to be built the way that it's shown. So that's why we're asking these questions, because we approve things based on what we're shown. And so when it shows up different in the field, then it's difficult for inspectors to manage.
Well, actually the back may be open, but I can't remember. I know the front is, yeah, okay, it is. It's on a crawl. It looks like the front is actually the porch is what's going to be on a slab. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Is the reason I was talking about the handrails, but they'll still all the windows, everything you see on the drawing, in the gable, the twin. I mean, this is just temporary posts holding up the front, and so the windows, the twin windows, the double windows will be in the front. All that, everything will be exactly the same, except he's asking to leave off the gable on the right-hand side.
Okay. So one of the reasons that we require some of these things that are in the guidelines is that because it's supposed to match the historic context of the neighborhoods. And so there are things like the gables and the handrails and the detailing and the siding and trim help it fit within the context of the neighborhood visually. So taking them away changes the character of the house too much to be approved. So that's why we're concerned about the change. We understand things that happen in the field that make construction of certain things difficult, but in this case, you either plan for a gable or you don't. And in this case, it looked like it was planned for and it was expected. And so now we're changing the plan. So we're going to have to talk about it as a board and open it up for discussion. But I just wanted to give you some context about why we're looking for certain things during these reviews.
Yeah, I'm well aware. I'm well aware of why. I mean, I'm just here trying to represent the homeowner. He did not want the gable. I really don't know why myself, but um, but like I say, he just does not want it. I mean, it's basically just for looks. It has no use whatsoever. And I get you want it to look like that. The handrails, I mean, they're a simple thing to do. I mean, the house is actually the porch is ground level, so. But
Okay,
it
so
would
then
be
also
possible.
the stairs on the front are not going to be included. So it's all on ground level. So we're not
Right.
talking about the the stairs up to the front porch either. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll open it up to discussion for the rest of the board to ask questions and make comments.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was just going to add to what Suzanne was saying. The when we review like this project, like on paper, is pretty handsome, and I would really have been excited to see it get built compared to honestly a lot of the projects that we get before the board for infill housing. And I live in the infill housing district, and the part of this that's a little frustrating is I see this happen all the time where we'll approve houses and then they aren't built to what they were approved for, even down to just like similarly, we're talking about the handrail or guardrail details, having vertical pickets and those sort of things. I see that happen a lot. So I think it's just trying to, that's, again, it's a charge of our board to protect that contextual history of the neighborhoods. But also just to, simply follow the rules. You got approved for a certain thing and then that thing didn't get built. So, but anyway, but to the questions that I have, are you going to do the chimney? Is that actually going to happen still?
No, that was amended and approved already
That
to
was
be removed.
one of the conditions of approval of the previous one was that the chimney either be clad in brick or be omitted. And
Be
they
omitted
opted
or be okay?
Yeah, they opted to omit it.
Okay, so it's just a straight gable, no change throughout it. Okay. Do you showing? So when you said everything's per the drawings, so you're going to be doing all the crown molding and everything, like the detail around the windows and the casing and all of that with the sills, all of the work around the columns with the detail at the head and sills, all of that's going to be how you're going to detail out and trim out the project?
Yes, it just like I say, it just worked out with that piece of property that it ended up being ground level on the front porch, is why there would be no steps. The handrails are not required, although I mean we can put the handrails up. I mean, basically for looks if that's what they would approve.
No, I'm not commenting on the handrail. The masonry at the front, the brick is helpful in the facade as well. And if it's a slab on grades, then there's not gonna be any brick in the facade, is there, at all in the
Not in,
base?
not in, no, not in the front. I mean, because it's just ground level.
Yeah. Yeah.
The columns would be the twin columns, just like you see there. With the trimmed out just like that. The twin columns, the twin windows would be there. The window in the gable, all that would be there.
Are you gonna do the standing seam skirt around the end gable on the front?
Sure.
What about the crawl space vents that kind of give a nice rhythm down the side, which now that one side in particular will feel a little longer because it doesn't have the interruption of the cross gable that's being omitted? Are those going to be cut into that? Was it a Parge Coat CMU foundation that's existing?
I'm looking here.
Along,
Okay.
along with that
What I'm
question,
seeing
is that a crawl
that's-
space or is it filled with
I think
gravel
it's
and
a
there's
slab
a
because
slab?
it must be a slab because I don't see. I didn't build the house, by the way. It's obviously a slab because I see no crawl space vents.
Okay.
Just for our own clarification, if you didn't build it and you're not the owner, what who do you represent? Yeah, who are you in relation to the project?
I am friends of the owner, and we actually built quite a few things together. And he could not attend, so he asked me to attend.
Got it.
I am his builder, but I did not build this house.
So to clarify, would you be the one that would be finishing this or somebody else?
I would be overseeing finishing this house.
So basically, we're talking, it'll be finished out exactly as formerly presented, only without the chimney or the side gable.
That side,
Or the
yeah, that
porch.
dormer gable, yeah.
Or the front
Of course,
porch.
Well,
there'd be no steps, I mean.
right, but with the porch at grade instead
Yes.
of elevated.
I feel like we are doing a lot of imagining what this is going to look like and not really have any supporting drawings of what it's really going to end up like, aside from a few pictures that are incomplete. My feeling would be to postpone until they can revise drawings that are accurate.
Yeah, I don't disagree because, I mean, that front elevation is going to be proportionally odd the moment we see it as a slab on grade, which that may be what it is. We've reviewed and approved houses like that before, but this isn't a representation of the project. And we often get into this a lot with, we just did, I guess, with sites that aren't, or elevations that aren't representing the topography. So we do need that.
And also our inspectors in the field need to know what they're inspecting, which, you know, I think I said last time, good job on the inspector that caught this. But he would need a,
What he caught was the dormer, not on the side.
yes, yeah, that was what got his attention.
But you know, I'm sure you're aware of this, but the drawings, I mean, are not always an exact representation at your ground level. I mean, when these guys draw these drawings, they don't know if it's on a slab or, I mean, actually, if you read the drawings, it'll say, you know, it could be either or. But, you know, obviously the picture shows it with a crawl space area in the front. I mean, you would have to elevate the house, you know, probably an extra 3 foot taller to have got that. But I'm not saying it was impossible, but the city knew it was a slab and approved it in inspections. That wasn't the issue. The issue was just on the details of the finish with the dormer on the side.
Well, slabs are certainly allowed by code, but not by design review for neighborhoods that have design guidelines. That's not, and they may be in certain cases, but they have to be submitted and reviewed. And so the proposal for this house was to build it 3 feet above grade for a crawl space that could be exposed with brick piers in the front.
Right now, I'm not aware of that because I didn't submit it. But yeah, I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the point across the board for you and any other future submittal is that we want accurate drawings of what's going to exist on the site, and representations that aren't actual representations of what's going to be there aren't acceptable because we can't imagine what's there. That's why drawings are required. So
Basically, just drop off those front and just resend it back in.
we'll make it look like how it's actually going to look when it's built, and then we will review that.
Yeah, actually, foundation height is one of the specific items we're charged with in ruling on, and that's consistent with the foundation height of the surrounding houses and such. So that's it came up on one we were discussing earlier. It would be good to have drawings that represent the actual grade on the site you're building on, and on your site plan you've got contours, so they knew what the grade was and where the slope was and how fast it went, and you could draft your elevations accordingly. So a little more accuracy would help us a great deal.
Okay, I mean, obviously the house is already built, so we do know that. But I can talk to him and see what we can do. I mean, obviously they're not going to raise the house 3 foot. I mean, that would be crazy. But
We're not asking for it to be. We want the new drawings to be submitted with what you're going to build.
Yeah, what's there and what's to come.
What's there and what you're going to, yeah, take out the chimney, take off the side gable, take off the vents off the slab that's not a slab, or sorry, that's not a crawl space. Just that sort of thing, to where when it's documented, a milestone in the record, then it's a depiction of what should be out there to when the next inspector comes, they have the correct one, because then they'll call you again if they don't have the right drawing to even look at it with when they're reviewing it.
I'm well aware of built many houses, but never had this issue. Okay, I can talk to him, see how that goes. See if he wants to redraw it without his brick underneath that porch and those steps.
There are
And the
4
chair-
architects on this board who do it every day, so it's possible.
Oh,
And
Oh, I
that's
know
what
it's
we're
possible.
going to need to further review the project.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion to postpone to the August meeting.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. The motion carries.
Okay, this is a new, the next case, 7A25IH, is a new primary structure fronting Texas Avenue. It is a one-story residence with an exterior of vinyl lap siding, a 6/12 pitch front gable roof, and a raised parge-coated block foundation with vertical siding proposed for the gable fields. The house is 28 feet wide by 43 feet deep. The front setback appears to be approximately 36 feet based on the site plan. And it has a partial width, 8-foot deep front porch, and it's supported by 2 8-inch square wood posts. Parking is a 10-foot wide driveway that is in front of the house and accessed via Texas Avenue. So some of the findings, the front setback is not specified on the plans. It appears to be approximately 36 feet. The block is primarily vacant lots. There are 3 houses closer to Burnside Street that have an average setback of 23 feet, so they're closer. The house should be set closer to the street to align with the block with final measurements to be approved by staff. The site plan should also include a walkway from the front porch to the street. Parking is a 10-foot wide driveway that is accessed from the street. Guidelines recommend that parking should avoid the front yard and be accessed from the alley if one is available, or it should be placed alongside the house, at least 20 feet behind the front facade of the house. So the parking should be revised to be accessed from the alley and avoid the front yard, and the final site plan should meet city engineering standards. The guidelines also have specifications about healthy trees outside of the building footprint being preserved. The lot is currently forested. The remaining trees in the front and rear yards should be indicated on the site plan. The house is proportionate to the other houses on the block and the lot. The front porch meets the design guidelines. The windows and door styles and elevations meet the design guidelines. The roof line and details also meet the guidelines. The siding should be a clapboard style vinyl siding with an overlap as opposed to the Dutch lap flush panels or board and batten. So staff's recommending approval of 7A25IH subject to the conditions that the front setback be revised to align with the block. With final measurements to be approved by staff. The final site plan meet engineering standards, include a walkway from the front porch to the street. The parking location be revised to avoid the front yard, meet the design guidelines. That could be behind the alley if possible, and if not, beside the house. The site plan include the existing trees in the front and rear yard, and then the final construction to retain these details that are included in there, including the eave overhangs, roof and window trim, and grouped windows. So that's kind of relevant to our previous discussion.
Thank you, Lindsay. Is the applicant present? Can you give us your name and address, please? Yes. So we can hear you. Person button.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm Brad McCoy. I am the contractor on this build. The new address is 4105 Doris Circle, Knoxville, Tennessee.
Great, thank you. Do you have anything to add to Lindsay's comments?
No, I don't think so. I'll probably just contact her with some questions about identifying those trees on,
Okay.
Who I need to go through on that portion of it. 'Cause That's
Okay.
new to me, so.
Thank you. We'll open up to board discussion if you could just hang tight there in case anybody has questions.
Do you know if the other vacant lots are going to get built out with single-family homes as well?
I don't know.
So that's a yes. I guess I asked that just because the discussion of the block face and the setbacks will be important because they're about to almost create a street there. So that'll be great if all of those do get actually built out with all those vacant lots. One comment was about the board and batten. I know that previously we've on accents we've been okay with board and batten, but I guess this project's showing vertical vinyl by owners. So on the end gables, would be better to have that be something more articulated like a board and batten than just a vertical siding?
That's actually what we're gonna go with. We actually decided to do a board and batten hardy siding.
Okay.
And we'll notate that on the drawings when we update them.
Are you doing hardy for the rest of the siding as well instead of vinyl?
Yes, sir.
That's good.
Is it still gonna be horizontal lap under that trim board? So board and batten in the gable and then horizontal lap below?
I think we've been back and forth with the design. If they need to be the same, then we can absolutely just do vertical, if that's okay. We would, I don't know, to be honest.
We actually, that's usually what happens, and that's not, what we're trying to have is not have it'd be better just to have it as the accent at the upper gable like you have, and then let the lower bands all read as horizontal. That's more contextual to the adjacent structures generally. My only other comment with the parge coat on the base of the house, since you're the builder, that's great. But whenever you're finishing it out, if there's any way you can talk to the design team about using a stone skirt or something around or apron around the base of the house, it's going to let that parge coat last longer. When someone's actually living there, when they're weed eating up against the house or mowing, it's not going to spray red clay mud all over it. That's always what you see, and then that parge coat starts to break down really quickly, and I think it just starts to show the age, or the lack of quality of parge coat, which is a conundrum already because it's eventually going to fail. So if you have any way to have water drainage and a distance from the house with some sort of landscaping band around the perimeter, that's really helpful in maintaining the integrity of the house.
There is a lot of good detail on these drawings, but since it came up on the last one, is this a crawl space? And if so, is it vented or is it encapsulated?
It is, it's just not notated on there.
Okay. If you could add those, if you're resubmitting drawings, that would be helpful, just so we get the full.
All right, we'll
Full picture.
notate it. We're doing a vapor barrier as well, so I think we'll just need one, if I'm correct, 1 square foot, because that's a 1,200 square foot house.
I'm not the one to ask today.
Okay, no worries. So, I'll notate it, don't worry.
Okay, thank you.
Just to clear, you said it is going to be a crawl space, but you're encapsulating it?
Yeah.
Great. That's going to be a fancy house compared to what we normally see. So, crawl spaces in the South suck, so it's good to see encapsulation if you're going to do a crawl.
I would move to approve per staff recommendations.
Yeah, I second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, next up, we have 3300 Orlando Street, which is 7B25IH.
Okay, this is a new primary structure fronting Orlando Street. Some members of the board may recall we've seen this one in 2021 and 2022. So there have been some significant changes to the previously approved site plan and elevation drawings. So it is a 2-story house with an exterior vinyl lap siding, a 10/12 pitch front gable roof, and a slab foundation. The house is proposed to be 25 feet 8.5 inches wide, and by 53 feet 7.5 inches deep. That includes the front and rear porches, and they've proposed it to be set 52 feet from the front property line. There is a 6.5 foot deep front porch with a shed roof supported by square posts, and then the parking is a concrete pad in the rear yard that's accessed from the side street, which is Seymour Avenue. The house is proposed to be set 52 feet from the front lot line. The average front setback of the block is 33 feet. The adjacent house is 31 feet. The large front setback is intended to protect the root system of a larger magnolia tree, so you can see that in various views here and included on the site plan there. And so the 52-foot setback would not meet the front setback standards of the base zoning. That would require a variance that could be issued by the design review board via the COA. The board can issue variances if they're necessary to realize the principles of the design guidelines. So The guidelines do encourage the preservation of existing trees and their root area. They also prioritize the importance of consistent front setbacks throughout the design guidelines. The 52 feet would be significantly different from the neighborhood context. The board has previously approved a front setback of 45 feet. So it was previously approved at 45 and now it is at 52. The front setback variance may not reflect the intent of the design guidelines, so the board and the applicant should discuss that additional 5 feet required and how that will affect the streetscape. There are possible other design measures, including having a partial width front porch or moving the house closer to the left side lot line. The parking as proposed does meet the design guidelines. The final site plan should meet city engineering standards. The site plan should include a native or naturalized tree in the rear yard, and they have those, they have the front tree marked already on the site plan. Overall, the house is proportionate to the dimensions of the lot and historic houses on the block. The massing has been reduced somewhat from the previous designs. There are details like the brick-clad chimney and corner boards that further align it with the context. The plans that were previously approved was a 2-story house with a 7/12 pitch roof and a raised foundation to match the context. The revised plans are now 10/12 pitch, which will somewhat increase that height and visual scale of the house. There are 3 two-story houses on the block that have side gable roofs, 2 of which are lower pitch. The board did extensively discuss and ultimately approve that 2-story height compared to the context in 2021 and 2022. The porch the design has a 6.5 feet deep front porch. Guidelines recommend that porches be at least 8 feet deep and similar in style to others on the block. So the staff recommendation would be that the porch depth be increased to 8 feet deep, or it could be revised to have a stoop to be similar to the context. The windows and door styles meet the design guidelines, and the materials meet the design guidelines overall. If there is visible foundation, that should be parge coated or clad in stucco. The chimney should be meet what is noted and be clad in brick. So the board should discuss the proposed front setback. In particular, and the building height. Staff's recommending approval of 7B 25IH, subject to the conditions that the front setback be revised to align with the block face, but not exceed the previously issued setback variance of 45 feet 1 inches. And the final site plan meets city engineering standards. The final site plan include a tree in the rear yard and the existing to be retained. The porch depth to be increased to 8 feet deep or be a stoop. Kind of additional revisions to that design could be approved by staff. And then the foundation, if necessary, to be parge coated or clad in stucco.
Thank you, Lindsay. Is the applicant present for this one? Oh, hi. Can you give us your name and address, please?
My name is John Simpson. I'm the builder. The address is 3300 Orlando.
Okay. Do you have anything to add to Lindsay's comments?
Negative, not at this time. I did want to talk about the setback, but I'm sure you guys will get to that in a minute.
Okay. Well, then we'll open it up for discussion, and if you could just hang there for a minute while we talk, in case we have questions.
Sounds good.
As the builder, do you have the drip line of the tree that I feel like is driving the setback? Do you have the drip line understood as to how far the tree's roots? This basically is indicative of the root system below it to set the actual house location.
No, I don't. But there is a concern if we move the house any further forward that it's going to affect the tree's survival.
So who's the authority that? Because if everything's based on the tree. On this survey, there's no drip line to even really show the extents of it. We just see the dot that does not, this might be the trunk's diameter. But you're using Roth surveying, what's he gonna give you to be able to make you feel assured that you're not gonna undermine the root system when you're digging foundations?
He is gonna give me that drip line. He just hasn't currently done it. But through discussions, it's been a concern to like move any closer to the tree. Further forward.
Yeah, I get that. I'm trying to say for your own backing, where's that information?
I don't have it currently.
For context, when I went to post signs on the property, I did measure the distance from the trunk to the road, and it was 12 feet. So, just so y'all know.
I guess, not to belabor the point, but if the main discussion is its location, the really deep setback, maybe it only affects its location by a couple feet, but it's based on the tree, unless you tell me differently. It's based on the tree, correct?
Basically, yes, sir.
Yeah, and then we don't have an actual measurement from the tree that's like the critical dimension. Like that would be what you'd want to see like strung out from the corner to the tree. It's like no further or no closer than 15 feet or something like that.
Right.
So that's I think the crux of the location is that.
Not to jump in, but I'm a tree enthusiast, and
Yes.
in order to favor your setback that you're probably going to request, we just need more information.
Okay.
We can't do what ifs. We think.
No,
we
no,
just
no,
need
no,
some
I
type
understand
of-
that.
So
I
we're
understand.
just missing some information to sort of move forward potentially in your favor.
Yeah.
I would also include, if you're able to get the extra information of like what real diameter is recommended by someone who knows trees, the age of the tree would be helpful, because part of the concern is like, the house is likely to be there longer than the tree, and then is that gonna look odd 50 years from now, whenever the house is just the odd man out on the block? So if the tree, if it's still got a lot of decades to go, that would help too, in addition to the drip perimeter.
Okay.
I have a question about, procedure. I think we've done similar sort of things, but could we request that you minimize the interior lot line setback
Yes, so
and place the house as close to the street as allowed by the drip line once it is established? That leaves the actual setback ambiguous at the moment and up to staff to approve once the drip line has been established. And that way we don't have to set you off for another month.
Yes,
and
I'd be
come
willing to
back.
agree to that.
I believe we did actually write that into the staff recommendation as well.
It looks like the house is centered between the two setbacks. And is there any value in considering moving the house closer in, away from the corner, just to give that tree a little bit more space?
So the customer's concern with that is the other house next door is so close to the line already.
Okay.
Like they don't want to be any closer to the neighbor if they can help it. So they're trying to give the tree the proper setback as well as like stay off the neighbors.
Gotcha, okay.
And I don't know if we need to catalog this, but I agree with the staff recommendation about deepening the porch, the full 8 feet. And what was the other recommendation? That was the main one, I think.
Yeah, deepening the porch, I have no problem with that either. We can make that design change.
What was the actual base of is that called out anywhere, the height of the foundation? Or is it a slab on grade?
Let me pull it up.
It says slab, but that's on the porch. I don't know if the rest of it's a slab.
Yeah, so I think it has a crawl space and I think it's gonna be block.
Hey, John.
Yes,
Kelly. My name's Kelly. I'm the homeowner here. We are looking, the lot is flat and we're looking for a slab.
Okay.
It is not very high because we want to age in place.
Yeah.
And if we can get something lower approved, we would like to do so. But no, this will not be a crawl space as of now.
Well, that makes sense because it's not shown as a crawl space, so that helps. And
Right.
the photograph of the lot does appear to be quite flat, so that's consistent, which is unlike some of the other ones we've seen.
And I just want to throw in one more thing, just for y'all's understanding. The original plans that were 45 feet off the street had when you're facing the house from Orlando, the left side of the house had a bump out that allowed us to get closer to the house without interfering with the tree. And so this plan does not have that, which is why the entire thing is going to be back where it is right now at 52 feet. Does that make sense? That's why there's a difference there.
The far left side protruded forward more than this one does. Is that
I think
Yes,
accurate?
yes.
had
Okay.
like a bay on the left side. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. And so that's, I mean, we did that intentionally, but we're unable to build that house, and this is the one we would like to build.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, it's still just like, even with the bay, it's like, it's still just an odd setback, and it's, again, it's all based on the tree, so.
Right.
Perry, could you repeat what it is you were saying about the setback, or maybe what Lindsay included?
Well, as I was talking faster than I was reading it is pretty much what the note number 1 says. Is to have them establish the drip line, bring the house as far forward as possible with approval by staff. Also saw more reasons on why you're not closer to the interior line. I noticed there's a 1.5 foot encroachment by their driveway, and they have a shed right on the line, so you are being crowded on that side already. So
Correct.
I understand that.
There is something nice about it being a corner lot to have that green space exposed to the sidewalk, at least for walkability. But my last question though, I mean, if this ends up going approved and then that returning for staff staff approval based on the granularity of the tree, like what, we need to be specific is like, do we have an arborist with the city of Knoxville that's gonna give us the thumbs up on this? Because it's, to Sarah's point, it's like all this could be for naught.
Yeah, I mean, we have an urban forester, but this is not typically within the realm of his
Yeah.
duties or these types of plans.
I have an arborist I can call, if that will help.
Yeah.
And I don't care to do that.
Because I mean, it's even going to come down to like during construction. Like I worked on a project that was in superly heavy wooded, and we had an arborist that had like 2 feet of wood chips on top of the tree root system, so that any heavy equipment that went over it didn't impact or stress out the root system and those sort of things. So that's something that not necessarily that the design review board's going to approve and say make sure you've got that specification, but that's the kind of care I think we need to be able to ensure the tree's going to live. And honestly, for you, the owner, it was Michael.
Kelly.
Kelly, for you, it's like, to Sarah's point, like to have made all these concessions to make the tree live, we want to make sure it lives. So
Right.
I don't
Mr.
think there
Lee.
would be any other reason you'd set it back that far, is there?
No.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
One more, this is kind of a design suggestion, but could be considered that could kind of check a couple of boxes for this house, which is currently it has this straight across covered porch with the little shed roof. And I know you said the previous design had a forward projecting element on the left with like, I assume, another gable kind of telescoping from the main volume of the house. And
Right.
you could do that just as a porch, extend a little covered portion of porch forward so that that porch gets deeper, the house gets closer to the front, but it's on the left, and so that it's a little further away from the tree. That could be kind of a win-win. It would affect the window that you have up above that, but if that could find a satisfactory redesign, that could do both. It would require a re-review of drawings, but I think would address the concerns pretty successfully. And then if one day when the tree's not there anymore, it would still feel pretty natural.
So you're suggesting to the one side of the house where the tree is not, like the opposite side, to put a
So
gable
instead of
coming further out?
instead of a
And
straight
how-
porch, deeper there.
How deep are you?
At least 8 feet, but my suggestion, so the homeowner mentioned that the previous design, the massing, like the bulk of the house is still in the same place where it was,
Right.
except for that little wing. So why don't we just keep that where it is and bring this maybe 12 or 16, whatever feels right, but especially if it could get us to the 45 that was previously approved, that would be a good method.
Kelly, that would be your call.
Well, if you notch the porch out on the tree side, I think sort of where we're driving with this, to where the porch goes halfway across the front, comes out on the left and notches on the right. So since it's a slab, you can't get the porch closer to the tree. So we notch that porch out.
So essentially leave the porch at 8 feet instead of extending it out an additional 8 feet.
Right.
And slide the house and everything forward.
Right, take the
Well,
notch
your
out.
suggestion was to leave the house where it stands and then add 8 feet to one side of the porch. Kelly, do you have a,
If it's a matter of making it work, I would go with a half porch. I'm not speaking for my wife. I'm just speaking for me.
Yeah.
But I like the full porch, and if we could get some sort of left side workaround on that, even if it's just an uncovered sitting area, I don't know. It's a great idea. I'm open to exploring it.
Okay.
Well, and you could still have it covered across, it's just have a wing of it that's deeper. You know, I think it's achievable with whatever sitting space you're looking for out there. And it looks like you've got some good design help, so they can probably mock it up.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, actually, I did all this, so I can work on that and see what we come up with there. It's a great idea.
Are there any other comments?
I was just gonna say, I don't know if we should discuss the height anymore, just because when it was previously reviewed in 21 and 22, there was extensive discussion, and this is actually taller than what was previously discussed, but.
I don't see why it would be an issue to, make the roof pitch more shallow. There's nothing up there. If it would help, I mean, we could.
I actually think in this case that it proportionally looks really nice right now, and it's a corner condition, so I don't really think that it would look out of place. I don't really have concerns about the height for this particular house.
And I don't necessarily have any concerns. It was highlighted, so I just want to be sure we talked about it.
Sarah, was your comment a suggestion or a condition that you would like to include?
I guess it's really just a suggestion of how you could satisfy all these varying concerns. Because per these previous discussions, I just don't think we have enough information to approve it exactly as is, given the current setback request. So I think given the current application, I'd have to say either postpone or deny for the next time. You guys lead that. I don't know the protocols yet.
I think it's written, if we go back to the recommendation in that first part, that they have to prove that drip line and provide more information, and we're punting it to the staff to then approve.
I would
correct.
I would correct and say no, because we weren't asking. We don't have additional. The staff recommendation does not have the request for additional information on the tree.
Okay.
And it also kind of defaulted to having that setback stay where it had been previously approved at 45 feet 1 inch. So if the board's comfortable with it being further back based on, additional information to be provided, then you might want to wait.
But what if the drip line conversation says it needs to be 55 feet back? And we just said, well, it's based on the tree.
Yeah, it feels to me that we'd need to postpone, or we could say if we wanted to have an avenue for quicker approval, that assuming an arborist says that a 45-foot setback is fine, then you're good.
And we can
if we wanted to
we
do
can
that.
modify the recommendation, the proposal. Cameron's always good at that.
I was going to let you do that since you suggested it.
Oh, gosh. Okay. I move to, Perry, help me here. Number 1, I move to approve per staff recommendation with a modification to number 1, to reword bullet point number 1 to say that allowing the proposed interior side setback to be reduced if necessary to avoid the root system of the existing magnolia tree per confirmation from an arborist about the drip line. So once we establish that we can then revisit.
What about the front?
Yeah.
That's what we need to be a little more specific on.
About the setback variance.
Correct.
I feel like as written, that's the intent, actually. Because what we're saying is it can't go beyond that, right?
But she said it wasn't, because we didn't ask for an arborist.
Yeah, we have to add the
About a
condition.
drip line.
They have asked for 52 feet, and the staff recommendation limits it to 45 feet, which was their previous approval. And what they've come back with in this application is saying we don't think that's gonna work. So.
I think we need to postpone it and get the drip line information and re-review it.
Yeah, because if it's like an insane, this could be.
And that's not being difficult. That's literally
Yeah.
the spirit of this design is
Yeah.
setback because of the tree. And if we get that information, then
Yeah.
it's a math discussion. This is the distance. That's why.
Yeah.
Can I have this? And we say great, and we're done.
There's too many what ifs, right? We're missing too much information, and now we're trying to make this generalization that we didn't do for anyone else, so there'll be a lack of fairness.
Right.
So I move to postpone case 7B 25H.
I'll second that.
Is everybody okay on this side? Got that? Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you.
And we'll follow up with you guys and make sure you have some like written notes and everything on,
All right,
on
thank
the
you.
discussion. And I mean, you also will send the recording too if you wanted to come back and
Okay,
catch anything.
perfect, thank you.
Thank you both.
Thanks.
Okay, next up, we have 1314 Louisiana Avenue, which is case 7C25IH.
Okay, this is a new primary structure fronting Louisiana Avenue. It is a one-story residence with an exterior of lap siding, a 6/12 pitch front gable roof, and a slab foundation. The house is proposed to be 30 feet wide by 48 feet deep, and it will be set 26.2 feet from the front property line. It has an 8-foot deep front porch with a front gable roof supported by 2 square posts. Parking is proposed to be an existing asphalt driveway, so that driveway already exists. And it extends to a pad in the rear, so the parking will be located on a rear. It could be accessed from the alley. Some of the relevant findings: the front setback is appropriate. It's in line with the adjacent houses. The final site plan should include a walkway from the porch to the street. The parking is an asphalt driveway that is already existing. It does extend to a pad in the rear of the lot. Guidelines recommend that parking be accessed from the alley if one is available. The proposed access is appropriate. It does provide access from the alley, or it could, and it avoids the front yard, and it also avoids the mature oak tree at the rear of the lot. The final site plan should meet city engineering standards. There is the mature tree and 2 additional trees at the rear of the lot that should be retained if possible, unless revisions to parking required by engineering make their removal necessary. The final site plan should include 1 tree in the front yard. Overall, the house is generally proportionate to the dimensions of the lot and the other houses on the block. It has an 8-foot deep front porch, which meets the design guidelines. The post should be at minimum 8 by 8 to be compatible with the context. The window and door styles are similar to historic houses on the block and meet the guidelines. The 6/12 pitch, that's typically the minimum approved by the guidelines. And, the board may choose to discuss if a steeper pitch is aligned with the shotgun houses on the block. Overall, the materials do meet the design guidelines. Staff's recommending approval of 7C25IH, subject to the conditions that the site plan meet engineering standards and include a walkway from the porch to the street with minor revisions to parking to be approved by staff. The existing trees at the rear of the lot to be retained and protected during construction. Unless parking revisions make them necessary, the final site plan to include those trees in the rear yard and a new one in the front. The foundation to be parch coated or clad in stucco, and the siding to be a clapboard style with an overlap, and the porch supports to be at least 8 by 8.
Thank you, Lindsay. Is the applicant present for this one? Hi. Can you come up, please, and give us your name and address?
It's Chris Staley. Our office is 1501 Washington Avenue.
Great, thank you. Do you have anything to add to Lindsay's comments?
Nope.
Great. Then we'll open it up for discussion.
On the site plan, is the pink drive looks like it's extending all the way to the street, or was the staff comment that it can be accessed from the alley and should?
Well, so the driveway already exists. They
Oh,
are
that-
using kind of that existing.
Strike my question.
Okay.
So, existing non-conforming, got it, okay. And you did comment in the staff recommendations to call, you're calling out the materials because that wasn't on there. I would add to the last condition about the columns, for the fact that it's a slab on grade, and the columns would never be engaged with the porch anyway, that they should be, a cohesive pressure treated porch or something like that. I think that they should be painted just to look more finished, and I agreed that the 8 by 8 would be a better scale for the posts on either side of that. Last thing, did we have topography information?
Yeah, there's a little bit on the site plan, and it's a pretty flat site.
Okay, so it's.
But it does slope a little bit toward the building right now, so I don't know if you're planning to regrade to just make sure drainage just stays away from the slab.
We'll cut before
Yeah.
we start anything.
Yeah.
Say that one more time. I didn't hear that. You'll do what?
We'll cut the lot before we start anything.
Okay.
Make sure our
But,
grade's on track.
but that's not going to raise the finished floor at all?
So we don't have an elevation height on our drawings. Once we get it cut, we'll shoot elevation. It's a slab on grade, so our block height's dependent on.
Right. I guess I'm asking, are we going to see stairs now and not just a
No,
zero?
it's very flat lot.
Okay.
I'm at maximum 3 blocks out of the ground, I think.
I will say too, if you look on like Google Images and look at this historic street view, the previous structure on this property was a slab.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
My only other concern with that elevation is just the siding comes really close to the ground. So it's similar to what Cameron has said on other projects. When you start landscaping against siding and moisture gets close to the house and that kind of thing, we have some concerns about durability. And so in the past, we've recommended using some kind of gravel or stone edge in the landscape just to keep the grass and weeds and stuff off of the front of the house. Or not just the front, but the elevation of the house.
I can do that.
I'll make a motion to approve per staff recommendation.
Just one last thing, though, I want just to, because this is happening more and more, I see these houses all over Lonsdale and other areas near me. It's like this slab on grades everywhere now. So the 18-inch rule of above grade is becoming the norm in houses, and no front porch, no front, or they have porches, but no steps, no, like, it's just all becoming like low, flat, kind of squatty houses, not base metal top. And can you, like the last proposition, the reason they were on a slab, the last case, sorry, was because they want to age in place. Do you know if this needs to be a zero threshold entry, or is it just because that's cheaper to not build it as high?
So I build for Knoxville Habitat for Humanity, and we our goal is always to aim to make all of our houses ADA compliant.
Got it. Okay, so that's a good answer. So,
I had that one stored up. I was ready for you.
yeah, I'm not trying to not get it to pass. I just know that I've seen them in places that it's just doesn't seem like it needed to be that way. So I want to make sure that we're not just breezing over it. So, okay, go ahead with your motion.
I'm going to revisit my motion to approve per staff recommendation.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Just one thing to add to the conditions to. I was just going to say to add to the conditions to paint the posts on number 4.
Yeah.
Cameron, do you want to do a friendly amendment?
I would amend the motion to include on
Is it bullet point
item
number 4?
4 to just paint the 8x8 posts.
And is our motioner and seconder okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that one carries. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that is the last one on our list for tonight. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Welcome to our new folks. And we will see everybody next time.
One more item of business.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. Okay, so we now will just vote on the chair and vice chair for the 2025 to 2026 year. So I'll start with the chair. At the last meeting, we had a nomination for Suzanne to serve as chair for a second term, 2025 to 26. Do I have any other nominations? Okay.
Nobody else wants to do it?
All right, hearing none, do I have a motion to appoint Suzanne as our chair?
I'll make a motion to appoint Suzanne as the chair.
Okay.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Motion carries.
Ah,
Yay.
Madam.
And then our, we,
Thank God.
we also had a motion to appoint Jared as our vice chair for a second term for the next year. So do I have any other nominations for that position? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion for Jared as the vice chair?
I move to nominate Jared for
Awesome.
vice chair.
Okay,
I'll
and a
second that.
Okay, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, now I think we're adjourned. Thank you.